Okay, so let's dive in. Che Guevara. I mean, few faces are that recognizable, right? You see him everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere. Posters, T-shirts. It's kind of amazing, but the man behind the image, Ernesto Guevara, he's way more complex.
Right. And that's what we want to get into today, isn't it? Sort of track his journey from, this upper-class kid in Argentina to this global revolutionary symbol.
Exactly. We're looking at his actual achievements, the methods he used, which were pretty harsh, let's be honest, and what we can maybe take away from a life lived with such intense commitment.
That commitment, yeah. To understand that, you really have to go back to his early years, I think. Born Ernesto Guevara in 1928, Rosario, Argentina. And kind of funny, he came from a pretty well-off family.
Yeah, not the background you might expect. And his nickname back then, El Chancho the Pig, because he was apparently quite messy. It's a bit ironic, considering his later focus on revolutionary purity.
It really is. But maybe the more defining thing wasn't the messiness, but his health.
Oh, definitely. He had severe asthma, like
Yeah.
debilitating lifelong asthma. It kept him out of a lot of sports, things like that. But the sources suggest it made him an incredible reader. And crucially, it seems to have forged this really strong sense of discipline, self-control. He was reading Freud, Sartre, Kafka, heavy stuff as a teenager.
That makes sense. That kind of forced self-discipline, it
Yeah.
feels like a key piece, right? But it wasn't just intellectual. That famous motorcycle trip in '52 that made it physical.
Oh, absolutely pivotal. That trip across Latin America,
hmm
that's where things really clicked for him, it seems.
How so? What changed?
Well, he was studying medicine, clinical medicine, but then he saw firsthand this incredible poverty disease,
Again.
especially visiting leper colonies like San Pablo.
Right.
And it just shifted his whole focus. He started seeing illness as, well, fundamentally social and political, not just a biological thing you treat in a clinic.
And that realization, that connects directly to his becoming radicalized, doesn't it? A couple of years later in Guatemala.
Exactly. 1954, he witnessed the CIA-backed coup against a democratically elected government there. And for him, that just solidified it. Anti-imperialism, armed struggle, that became the only way forward in his mind.
Which led him to Mexico and Fidel Castro.
Yep, joining the 26th of July movement. And once he was in, his rise was, well, pretty fast. He wasn't a trained soldier, but his tactical mind and maybe that severity, that discipline again, it got him promoted to commander-mayor in the Sierra Maestra Mountains.
And his big military moment was Santa Clara.
That was a decisive one, yeah. The Battle of Santa Clara,
Yeah.
strategically brilliant, and it essentially broke the Batista regime. It paved the way for the revolution's success.
It's still amazing, though. A doctor with severe asthma becomes this key military strategist. Is it all back to that self-discipline?
I think it has to be a huge part of it. He applied that same sort of uncompromising rigor to guerrilla warfare itself. He even wrote a manual, La Ganada de Guerra, demanding absolute commitment.
And he wasn't just a fighter. After the revolution, he took on some pretty big non-military roles, too.
Oh, yeah. Head of the industrialization department, president of the National Bank, which is where he famously signed the banknotes, just chi.
Just chi, yeah. Symbolic.
It tied into his whole philosophy of the new socialist man, the hombre nuevo socialista. He was all about collective spirit, solidarity, completely rejecting material incentives as motivation.
Okay, but wait. How practical is that? Running a national bank while basically saying money isn't the motivator.
Or that's the tension, isn't it? It was incredibly challenging, and it points to the other side of Che. While he inspired so many, his methods could be brutal.
You mean like a Banya fortress?
Exactly. He oversaw the revolutionary trials there, executions. He even said, quite chillingly, something like, executions, yes, we have executed. We execute and will continue executing as long as necessary. It's a tough quote.
Very tough.
Yeah.
That absolute conviction, though, it seems like it drove everything, including leaving Cuba eventually.
It did. He renounced his Cuban citizenship to try and export the revolution. First the Congo, which didn't go well, and then, fatally, Bolivia.
And that's where we get that famous line, right? About his global strategy.
Create 2, 3, many Vietnams. That was the call to arms, spreading the struggle globally.
It all comes back to that intense, almost fatalistic sense of mission, doesn't it? Right up until his capture and execution in Bolivia in '67.
Absolutely. It drove the achievements, but also severity. It was all one package, in a way.
So the final takeaway, maybe it's that level of commitment he demanded. He told recruits something like, consider yourselves already dead.
Yeah, assume you are dead and everything you live from now on is borrowed. It's incredibly stark.
So Thinking about today, when we talk about commitment to a cause, a project, whatever, you have to wonder, right? Is that absolute life or death dedication the price you have to pay for radical change? Or is Che's story more of a cautionary tale about where that kind of certainty can lead?
That's the question his life leaves us with, I
Yeah.
think. There's no easy answer.